Okay, so our next talk is by Matan, and it's about Viagra botnet. Good luck.
So, hi guys, can you all hear me? Right. My name is Matan, and today we're going to talk about Viagra. Yeah. So it's also been called the blue pill, vitamin V, and all this kind of stuff. I thought it would be best to start with a quick demo. I brought some Viagra pills with me. I'll show you how it works. Right, so not really, don't worry. Maybe later if you'd like, I have some samples with me. So I do want to talk about the Viagra pill, and it's one of the most popular pills out there in its category, but also one of the most counterfeited drugs in the world. Also, Viagra is one of the most spammed campaigns out there in the online community. So I would like to show you some sub-attacks that we analyzed regarding to Viagra and show you the complexity in spamming users nowadays. So let's get started with. So my name is Matan Leon, and I'm a security research engineer at Imperva Security Group. I have more than 10 years experience in development and researching in the security environment. And for now, gladly, I do not need to take any Viagra pills with me. So probably a few years from now, like most of us, I guess. So I know we're going to talk about Viagra, which is a funny notion, and there is a lot of puns, jokes going on, like it was really hard to make this presentation, to make a short story longer, and I don't know if you heard about this Viagra virus going around that turns floppy disk into hard drives. So I prepared some slides for you to get it over with in 4 or 5 slides. So that's the first one. Yep, happened once. Yep. Second slide. You know this guy? Yeah? All right. And I really do not recommend taking Viagra in any other way than orally. And that's why, basically. And now that we had some jokes, a nice intro, we can dive in to our actual presentation. Yep. So it all begins with sildenafil citrate, which is the former name of Viagra. The researchers at Pfizer's laboratory looked for medicine for heart diseases and its other kind of forms like angina and stuff like this. But eventually they understood really quickly that it can be used for a much cooler stuff, which is erectile dysfunctions issues in male patients. And since then it became a hit. So in '96, it got patented, the Viagra pill. 2 years afterwards, it got approved by the FDA. And immediately it got sold in millions, but also in its counterfeit form. Today, we're in an interesting period in time in which Viagra is becoming validated and expired in many countries around the world. For example, in 2010, Viagra was invalidating for legal reasons in Canada, for example. Other example is in 2013, in many EU countries it got expired, such as the Netherlands, Spain, France, and so on. So basically, everyone that wishes to import Viagra now can say is importing generic form of the drug, right? But in most cases, it will be actually a counterfeit drugs camouflaged with the actual Viagra pill. Now, in 2 years now, Viagra will become expired in all over the world. So the options for scammers that want to import this kind of generic drug is kind of limitless, right? So let's talk about the financial motivation of the Viagra pill and the financial motivation for attackers, basically. So if we'll take the comparison, the most lucrative player around the world in the soccer industry is actually Cristiano Ronaldo, which you all know. Ronaldo earned in 2016 about $58 million just from playing football, which is a lot. Taking this and calculating it in the Viagra industry, we get this kind of number, 30 times Cristiano Ronaldo, which is a lot. But let's go back to our industry. and calculate the Viagra industry revenues in average software engineer salary, which is about $100,000 US dollars a year. And we will get something like this, which is a lot of engineers per year, but we are not quite yet, actually. We'll need another screen to fit to the actual revenues of Viagra for 1 year. So it's a lot of money involved, as you can see, in this kind of industry. If you ask how much exactly, the revenues of Viagra for 1 year is about 1.5 billion US dollars a year, which is a lot of money. It is ranked between the 30 or 40 place in the most top-selling drugs all over the world. There are many other drugs that makes a lot more revenues. We found spam campaigns that relates to other medicines as Viagra, but Viagra was the most spam drugs, no doubt. And the reason for that is quite straightforward. Viagra is one of these drugs that you won't like to buy in your local pharmacy and know that your neighbors might be talking about that. And you prefer probably to buy it in a private location like the online ecosystem by getting a private email and buying it. And also when you talk about counterfeit drugs like Viagra, it's much cheaper, of course, but also you don't need prescription from any medical doctor whatsoever. So that's why it is so popular in the scam industry. So as you can see, this is a very lucrative industry, the pharmaceutical industry. And scammers will come to this kind of industry that they can gain some easy money. And it's estimated by the World Health Organization that about 10% of this industry is fake. This number is translated into about $21 billion revenues for the scammers each and every year, which is a lot of money involved. Now, counterfeit drugs in the best case will be just placebo drugs that won't do any harm. In this case, won't cause you any erection, right? But in the worst cases, it can make you make you die, because it includes stuff like rat toxic and other nasty stuff that you don't want to put inside your mouth. And this number actually translates into an annual death of about 1 million or more casualties per year, which is a lot of people getting died from that. This is based on the Interpol reports, so I will take it with caution because it's the Interpol one. And also they inflate this number in many cases, so still this number is pretty close to what's actually happening. Now, we really don't know what's happening exactly in this industry of scam campaigns, but based on instances where people got arrested and server was taken down, we can see examples like companies like LoveMed and Spamit, which are a huge scammers in this industry, that gained about $67.7 million from spam campaigns in the Viagra industry, which is a lot of money involved. And there are many more companies that we don't know about. So no wonder that we see this kind of campaign, the Viagra and the other pharmaceutical campaigns, as one of the most notorious spam campaigns, which it's a fact that is true for more than a decade now. You can see the listing of the worst spamming campaigns ever listed by Spamhaus, which is one of the most popular anti-spam services today, which listed in number 1 the Canadian Pharmacy, which is an instance of pharmaceutical spam campaigns. So probably right now, some of you thinking about selling these counterfeit drugs, and specifically the Viagra. Well, this is quite simply and really easy to do. Say the truth, this kind of campaigns using the same market industries that known today, which are actually the affiliate programs that known in other industry like in eBay and Amazon and other websites that try to sell some product online. You have two components basically in this kind of industries. You have the affiliates, which distribute and advertise your product, in this case the Viagra and the other counterfeit pharmaceutics. And on the other hand, you have the sponsors which actually pay the affiliates, right? And initiate this kind of campaign, initiate the websites, and accomplish the actual transaction with the customer. Now, if you want to be an affiliate, this is just one example of this kind of affiliate programs. You can find them online. You don't need to even go to the darknet to get them. It's all over. Just Google affiliate programs in the online pharmacy industry, and they give you really good terms if you want to join them. They will actually give you between 30 and 50% commission for each sale that you accomplish, which is a huge share of commission. You won't get that in sites like Amazon and eBay, which sell legit products. You will get about 5 to 15% commission maximum, and they will give you everything that you need to accomplish this kind of scam. They will give you templates to initiate the actual campaign. They will give you banners to actually implement this kind of advertising online and get traffic into your websites. And they give you even an API support so you can play with the actual logical layer of the campaign. And they really know who they're going to and who are they aiming on. So they explicitly say in many cases that you should use methodologies like email dispatches, which are nice words for email spam. They know that the spammers will be in most cases scammers with huge botnets that can spam their advertisement and their product really efficiently. And they limit your ways to do so in only your imagination. So they don't care how you're going to sell and advertise their product, their counterfeit product. You just need to do it. Okay? They don't look at how you do it. They want traffic in their websites, and that's it. Now, they also guarantee the anonymity of their affiliates because they know they don't want to be disclosed once they initiate this kind of campaigns. So this all shady operation goes to the actual sponsors of the counterfeit websites. This is an example of a website provided by this kind of sponsors. You can see in this example that the scammer is trying to sell the most top-selling drug, which is, of course, Viagra, another generic drug for erectile dysfunction issues. You can see on the left the Canadian pharmacy logo, which in many cases affiliates this kind of scammers with the Canada-related origins. And you can also see these two kind doctors that are not really doctors, that are just generic images from Jetty or other websites like that. And this is one example. Second example, you can see over here, the same website, small tweaks. You can see the United Pharmacy instead of the actual Canadian pharmacy. Small tweak that I said. And you can see the same two doctors. However, in this case, the doctor is smiling because probably he has hair on it, right? He has hair, so he's smiling. And there are many more websites just like this. You then have the CVS pharmacy, different color scheme, Indian pharmacy, and it goes on and on. It's just the same network, different websites, selling the same product in the same account, right? So once you decided to join this kind of affiliate program, you need to get traffic into it, into the websites. To get traffic into the website, you can use either spam campaigns or actually SEO, search engine optimization campaigns. The spam campaigns are email spam campaigns when you blast your potential buyers with advertising for Viagra, right? And on the other hand, you have the SEO campaigns, which are much more narrowed campaign, trying to increase the ranking of the websites in search engine results. So you can go both ways, but if you decide to go with the SEO, you then need to choose between black hat or white hat operation. In both cases, you will try to increase the ranking of the website that you're trying to promote using methodologies like increasing the popularity of the websites with incoming links that are coming from other websites, or by making it more appealing and relevant to the search engine results with keywords that's coming from the same notion of pharmacies. But with the white hat campaigns, you will do things that are aligned and compliant with the search engine terms. It will be much harder for you. It will take time, resources, and more money to do so. While on the other hand, if you'll use a black hat campaign, you'll do the exact opposite. You won't be aligned with the search engine rules, but it will take you less time, less money to comply. But also, the website that you try to promote will get blacklisted in a manner of, I don't know, days or weeks. However, because we try to promote a fake counterfeited drugs that are sold online, we don't really care if it will get listed by search engine. We'll be out in about a month or less. So in most cases, the attacker will go with the other choice, with its black hat campaign, of course. This is actual SEO campaign, black hat SEO campaign that we witnessed and analyzed a few months from now. In this example, the attacker actually tried to promote the website of online pharmacies of the counterfeit drugs by increasing its popularity and linking other websites into it. So you can see that he uses a SQL injection in the user agent header. You can see that the header is starting with a legitimate prefix, and then the actual SQL injection aims for MS SQL servers. He will aim at databases which are not system databases, and then try to inject strings inside these tables. He will try to also randomize his work by using the modular function that only inject this kind of links in 10% of the cases. Eventually, he will inject links to the target website that you try to promote, as you can see in the blue marking. He will also add some styling to this link, which will make it invisible from legitimate users to actually see the attack and extend, and by doing so, extend its actual campaign. However, when search engines will crawl into the website, they will see the links and see that it's a relevant link into pharmacy website, and eventually will increase its ranking in the search engine. So that's basically the SEO campaign. This is an actually outcome of this kind of attack vector. We looked into patterns of this kind of attacks. We found thousands of this kind of example of injected servers with this kind of links. You can see it in the search engine, in the Google search engine results. And this is basically the SEO campaign. There are many more techniques going on in this kind of subject. This is the other option that you can use, which is the spam campaign we talked about earlier. So with the spam campaign, you have three main components that you need to have. You'll need domains to redirect the user into, which host the actual online pharmacies. And you will need email lists of potential buyers, right? I won't talk about email lists today because it's so easy to get. It will cost you almost nothing online. You don't even need to go to the darknet to get them. And then you'll have the email servers that will actually promote the website and distribute the spam attacks for the potential buyers, right? So before I'll jump in and dive into the actual component in each and every one of them, let's talk about how to evade and make a long-standing campaign for a long time. So you need to think about ways to make your websites work for a long time. You'll need to make them bulletproof so it won't get blacklisted. And if they will get blacklisted, you'll have another rotating websites that you can use, right? And you also need to think of ways to evade security mechanisms like spam filters so it will work better. So if we talk about spam filters, you need to think about at least ways to make your content look legit. You need to make your links to the website that you try to promote look legitimate as well, and stuff like that. So let's see in one example how an attacker tried to evade all this countermeasure and perform an actual complex spam campaign. So let's dive into the first component, the email servers. So you can use SMTP server, correct SMTP servers, open SMTP servers. Why not using just compromised websites? So in this attack, our attacker used, you know what it is? So this is an WSO backdoor. This is one of the most popular backdoor out there today. Attackers really like it because it has a really nice user interface, as you can see, that you can control remotely through any web browser whatsoever. And it also has a lot of functionalities that can be used to actually own the website. You can see in the top of the screen information about the web server. You can see file manager that can be used to delete, insert, modify different files on the website. And you can also have like command control that can execute commands very easily, like you see in the button. There is many more functionality to go with it. In this case, we don't actually know which kind of exploit used to own this kind of websites, but most of the compromised web servers used WordPress, so it's probably related to this kind of CMS. You can go with any kind of the 7-layer good old known vectors like SQL injections, file upload, and so on. So now that you compromise the website, our attackers started sending payloads into it and sending commands to be executed. So this is an example of command sent by the attacker and used by the WSO backdoor. You can see that the command is really simple to understand. You have the A parameter, which is actual action to take place on the website. In this case, the attacker tried to execute PHP command on site. And then you have the payload that he wants to inject. You have the P1, P2, and P3 payloads. In this case, the attacker used only P1, which is base64 encoded, as you can see. Now, once the attacker decoded this script on site, he got this payload, again encoded in base64. So before it was saved, it was decoded again in the same old known base64. And then he actually saved this kind of file. Now this is actually a custom PHP mailer used by the attacker to spam his potential users. You can see that this PHP mailer consumed the value parameter, as you can see on the right. And it's a heavily encoded payload. You can see it encoded 8 times in base64. Right? You can see it on the third line. And then once it has been decoded 8 times, it was defragmented with the pipe characters to each and every one of the email headers, the recipient of the mail, the subject, the body, and other headers. Each time in each section, it was again decoded 3 times. So there is a lot of encoding going on. And only then the spam mail was sent. Right? So if you ask yourself why an attacker will encode so many times his payload, so it's probably because he saw that if someone will try to decode once or twice its payload, he won't understand anything, right? He won't do it 8 times. It's time consuming. However, when you try to encode base64 so many times, you know what happens? Anyone? So it kind of backfires on you. And you'll get the right opposite than what you intended, which is actually obfuscating your attack. And I'll try to explain it as simple as possible. We have limited time. So it all goes down to how base64 actually works. So base64 receives a block of 3 bytes. Each byte represents an ASCII character in its full table. It then fragments 6 bits each time into a much limited addition of ASCII characters again, based on the base64 table. The base64 table include ASCII characters, which only readable characters that can pass on different kind of systems that do not know how to handle well complex ASCII characters. It includes only A to Z capital characters, plus and slash. However, when you try to encode something that starts with capital V, just like Viagra, something interesting happens. You can see that the capital V characters start with 010101 bits, right? And if you look at the base64 representation of the same character, it's similar. It's 010101. So when you try to encode something that starts with capital V, you'll get in base64. Which character you will get in base64? Someone? Someone in the audience? The same character, right? That's what you said? Yeah? You'll get the same capital V. And when you take the encoded capital V character and then try to encode it again in base 64, what will you get? Someone else? Same. So you are stuck in capital V, right, when you try to encode base 64. So when you try to encode something that starts with capital D, you're stuck with capital D. And if you try to encode other characters, for example, one up away from capital V, which is capital T, capital U, and capital W, it will take you only one iteration of base 64 encoding to get stuck in capital V. And it goes on and on. 2 hops away from capital V, there are other ASCII characters. So it will take you maximal time of 5 iterations to get stuck in the capital V point. All right? Now, we made some cool, nice, small Python snippet that show this kind of phenomena. And I'll show it to you. I'm not sure if you're convinced now. So this is the actual script. I'll try to encode each and every one of the character in the ASCII table and get to the capital V. I'll show you how much iteration it takes. It shouldn't take more than 5 iterations, right? So you can see that the first 25 characters takes maximum 4 iterations on the last column. And if you continue, you won't get any character that takes more than 5 iterations. You can see, for example, I know that the T characters takes exactly 5 iterations to go and get to capital V. You won't see any character that takes more time, right? Now, this kind of behavior goes on and on as you try to encode your script more time in base 64. The next character in line is actually the M character. It will take you maximal 2 iterations to get stuck in it. Once you got stuck in the V character, it takes you less time because you're basically fixated with the last 2 bits of the capital V, as you can see in the red marks. And it goes on and on. So as long as you re-encode your input in base 64, you'll get a much stronger constant prefix that you can identify. So if you see in your traffic a string that starts with capital V, M, 0, W, D, and so on, know that something bad is going in your traffic, and probably winter is coming, right? And I'm still not so convinced that you are with me, so I have another demo here. I need a volunteer from the crowd. Someone? I just need his name. Someone to raise his hand. You want to join? I just need a name.
Morty.
What?
Morty.
Morty. It's not your name, right? No. No. All right. Okay, so Morty, I will try to encode your name in base 64. If I won't get to the capital V character, I can get out of the class because that's what basically I was talking about. It will take you maximum 5 iterations to get into this. So we got to T, got to V in 2 iterations, right? Now I need to get to the M character next, right? So it will take you maximum of 2 iterations to get into it. So let's try to do it again and again. And we are in M, and it goes on and on. The prefix will go and be bigger as we re-encode this in base 64. So that's basically the constant prefix in base 64 encoding. Now let's get back to the actual attack that we analyzed and see other interesting phenomena. So till now, our attacker actually gained access to a set of web servers with WSO backdoor. He used this ownership in order to inject custom PHP mailer, which will be then used to send the actual spam mails of the advertisement of the Viagra pills. You can see the Matryoshka doll. You know what it is? It's just an analogy for the B64 encoding, which includes many dolls, one inside another. Just a nice presentation for this. And now our attacker needs to think of a way to host his websites, right? And to evade other countermeasures when he does so. So he will need domains, not one domain to host his servers. In this campaign, we found thousands of hosting services that was used by the attacker. In most cases, as you can see, this is a one registration day of the attack. The attacker registered, in this case, only Russian domains. Most probably, most of them used registered and automated scripts. So you can see that a lot of DevOps operation is going on here, right? So this is the hosting services. But our attacker also will need to think of a way to evade this kind of websites, this kind of countermeasures, and to redirect user to the other actual website. So the last trick on the sleeve of the attacker was actually redirecting users through other websites which are whitelisted. And again, our attackers use WSO backdoor to compromise huge botnets of websites with WSO backdoor. Again, you can see the same structure of payload. Used a PHP action to be executed on site. In this case, the payload was again base64 encoded, but the actual content inside this payload was different. So let's take a look at how it appears when it's decoded. So in this case, the attacker actually tried to modify the htaccess file, configuration file of Apache servers, and he tried to inject what you can see in the file body. This is a base64 encoded payload, which is then decoded again before it's being saved into the htaccess file. Now, once it's been saved, it looks just like this. So this is actually redirections of four responses of users that reach a non-existing pages on site. In this case, the attacker redirected the potential buyers to the actual online pharmacy that he tried to promote. So basically what it does here is both letting legitimate users to surf into the websites legitimately with no problem, but on the other side, he will redirect potential buyers through non-existing pages on these websites to the actual online pharmacies. All right, so this is the overall picture, basically. We have an attacker that compromised a set of websites with WSO backdoors. He then used it to modify the htaccess files to redirect users to other third-party locations. He also compromised website B with the WSO backdoor for another purpose, in this case, to inject customer PHP mailer, which will then later use to send base64 encoded payloads to potential buyers. Now, you can see that the actual mail that's been sent to the potential buyers is legitimate. It is from website B, which is legitimate and whitelisted, and it's also sent and refers to links which are whitelisted as well and refers to website A, right? It also includes a made-up location on website A, so when the actual user, the potential buyer, that the mail will be probably evade the actual spam filters and will click it, will be redirected to the actual compromised hosting services, which include the online pharmacies. So that's the actual global picture of this attack. And again, this is only one example of a spam campaign going on today. Any affiliate member that wants to join this campaign can think of creative way to evade spam filters and other countermeasures to extend this campaign and make it more efficient, right? So we also talked about resources that this kind of industry have in its disposal. In most cases, when we talk about backdoor activities, we see a number of IPs starting these attacks, Tor networks, or other anonymous proxies. But in this case, the attacker actually buffered himself from the attack using a huge command and control botnet with more than 80,000 machines. You can see the distribution of this kind of machines all over the world. The red one and the purple one are more condensed and has more machines in it. The most condensed areas are in North Africa, and also in many places in Europe. On the other hand, we don't see almost any activity from the US, which is interesting. In most cases, botnet comes in huge scales from US because it has more machines, basically. And the most funniest part in this campaign is that you don't see almost any operation coming from Canada, given that most of the websites of the online pharmacies relates to Canadian pharmacies. So as you can see, this is not Canadian pharmacy whatsoever. And this is the actual distribution that we saw in this specific attacks. We found different interesting countries that do not originating most of these spam campaigns and botnets, like Egypt, Pakistan, and different kind of countries. But on the other side, you can see the shining star, which is Russia, which are originating this kind of campaign in the botnet, but also it was fingerprinted all over the attack, also by hosting services that you saw before, and coming to this kind of command and control center. So guys, basically, I did it fast. To wrap this session up, I would like to say, first of all, that you can see that where there is money, there will be scammers. And the pharmacy industry is really wealthy, and scammers all the time look for ways in this kind of industry. We found different kind of instances that are becoming more and more complex a long time. These spam campaigns are the most notorious one for 10 years now. This is only just one instance that we saw in the recent months, but there is many more to come. And the second thing, not less important, is the actual trend that we see in this kind of spam campaigns. You can take, for example, the Mirai attack that we saw a few months ago, that uses this kind of machine that they compromise as a mean for a much huger goal. They use machines, IoT devices, to actually spam and DDoS other targets, but they don't do much with these actual IoT devices. In this attack, it's the same thing. They compromise web servers for a greater mean. In this case, to actually promote target websites, target online pharmacies, and to use it as a spam campaign that originating from this kind of websites. So guys, thank you very much. Chvalavan, yes, I said it right. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this session as I did. I will be happy to send you any kind of resources that you saw in this session. Just email me or tweet me, whatever, and I'll send you the hosting services that we found and sampled. I will send you Python code that we use to demonstrate the base64 re-encoding phenomenon, and so on. So thank you. Any questions?
Oh, thank you so much for your presentation. I had a question. In the remailer code, do you see any attempts or any initial sorts of things where the hijackers are perhaps trying to hijack some of the private DKIM keys, or implement TLS, or hijack any of the SPF protections normally?
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. In the remailer code.
In the base64 encode?
No. I'm sorry. In the custom mailer code.
Custom mailer code, yeah.
In the custom mailer code, do you see any attempts by the spammers to use things like DKIM or bypass FPF on the server, or implement TLS or anything like that?
No, it's much more easier. In most cases, we see this kind of simple obfuscation going on in base64, not more than that, because it's just working. They don't need to use any sophisticated techniques to do it. And in most cases, we'll see a simple obfuscation is base64, basically. Not more than that.
More questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.